will be right up by John Carlos. But it's Carlos coming through now. Tommy Smith of America going well. And Tommy Smith of America out in front. And Carlos coming on the near side. And Carlos and Smith, what a fight. Tommy Smith coming right through. And the Tommy Smith catch does it. Tommy Smith wins.
In the years following World War II, African Americans faced intense racial discrimination, but this period of abuse also gave rise to a powerful movement, a movement driven by the determination and resilience of Black Americans, fighting for their rights and freedom. The Civil Rights Movement, which sought out to end racial segregation and secure equality for Black Americans, brought about change in many sectors of American society, and one of the most significant areas impacted was sports.
One of the most iconic moments in the intersection of sports and the Civil Rights Movement came in 1968 at the Mexico City Olympics. During the medal ceremony for the men's 200-meter race, Tommy Smith and John Carlos, who had won gold and bronze, raised their fists in the Black Power salute. This powerful act of resistance was more than just a fist. It was a statement on the world stage that demanded equality, justice, and recognition for African Americans. Their silent protest was not only a defining moment in the history of the Olympics, but also an iconic moment for global awareness of racial inequality, pushing the Civil Rights Movement forward and inspiring athletes worldwide to take a stand for what they believed in.
This moment in 1968 was part of a larger trend of Black athletes using their positions in the sports world to bring attention to the struggles of their communities. The actions of both Smith and Carlos, along with the others, showed how sports could be an area for social change, by making the fight for the Civil Rights Movement known and offering a platform for the movement. By standing in unity with the Civil Rights Movement, they helped shift the conversation around race and equality, not just in America, but around the world. The 1968 Olympics became a pivotal point in this story, one that showcased the deep connection between the fight for justice and the power of sports to make the world better.
The Civil Rights Movement was a pivotal movement in the United States, spanning from 1954 to 1968. Its goal was to end legalized racial segregation and discrimination that African Americans had suffered for generations. As tensions rose in the Cold War, President Harry Truman became one of the first leaders to take action, issuing Executive Order 9981 in 1948 to desegregate the military. This executive order, along with other key initiatives, laid the groundwork for the grassroots movement that would drive the Civil Rights Movement forward, urging both legislative action and a cultural shift towards equality.
During this period of intense social disruption, sports became a significant arena for challenging racial injustice. Muhammad Ali, for example, played a crucial role, not just as a boxing champion, but as a figure who used his platform to protest racism. When Ali famously refused to fight in the Vietnam War on the grounds of his religious beliefs and opposition to the war, his stance resonated deeply with many African Americans and civil rights activists.
Tom, when will come a determination whether you, Lee Evans, and others will or will not boycott the Olympics?
I wish I could tell you. This is a question that I don't think I could give you, and I don't think anyone else could give you. It will be determined by the actions of the community around us.
They not only towered with their talent, but they towered with their intellect. And that's one of the most inspiring things about the athletes of the Civil Rights Movement.
Meanwhile, the Civil Rights Movement was also experiencing significant losses. In 1968, two major figures, Martin Luther King Jr. and Robert F. Kennedy, were assassinated, shaking the nation to its core.
In the fall of 1967, amateur Black athletes formed the Olympic Project for Human Rights to organize an African-American boycott of the 1968 Olympics in Mexico City. OPHR, its lead organizer Dr. Harry Edwards, and its primary athletic spokespeople, the 200-meter star Smith and the 400-meter sprinter Lee Evans, were very influenced by the Black freedom struggle. Their goal was nothing less than to expose how the U.S. used Black athletes to project a lie both at home and internationally. They not only felt, but knew it was their responsibility. It was their calling. Exposing the U.S. for their horrid ways, boycotting the Olympics, their people were relying on them. Were they trustworthy? Tommy Smith and John Carlos, both deeply influenced by the turbulent times they were living in, were ready to make a stand, knowing that their actions at the Olympics could change the course of history. With so much at stake and emotions running high, their demonstration was not just about sports, it was about a collective fight for justice and equality. This sets the stage for one of the most iconic moments in the history of the Olympic Games and the Civil Rights Movement.
The 1968 Mexico City Olympics became a stage for one of the most iconic moments in sports and the Civil Rights Movement. On October 16, 1968, Tommy Smith and John Carlos stood at the pinnacle of their athletic careers. Smith had just secured the gold medal in the men's 200-meter race, setting a world record with a time of 19.83 seconds. Carlos, his fellow African-American teammate, had earned the bronze. However, their achievements on the track were not the only thing that made history that day.
As the medal ceremony took place, the eyes of the world were on Smith and Carlos. Instead of simply celebrating their victories, the two men made a powerful statement with the ongoing fight for racial equality. As the national anthem played, Smith and Carlos each raised a black gloved fist in the air, silently demonstrating their commitment to black power and unity, and creating one of the most iconic moments in both sports history and the civil rights movement.
Well, so many people have told me that athletics shouldn't be posted as a political ground. Many people have told me, okay, Smith, since you're great now and you open your big mouth, don't you know that athletics shouldn't be on the political ballot? This is a stepping stone for the rest of the world.
They were willing to risk the sponsorships or even the platforms or even their clubs, for their conviction.
Another side of this conflict, which is often forgotten, comes from the Australian sprinter Peter Norman, the man who stood alongside Smith and Carlos. Despite his skin color and background, he still chose to stand hand in hand. Norman wore a small badge that read, Olympic Project for Human Rights. While Smith and Carlos stood as human rights pioneers, the badge was enough to end Norman's career. A film, Salute, was made to show Norman's life before and after the 1968 Olympics. The director of the movie was his nephew, Matthew Norman. He foreshadows by saying, as soon as he got home, he was hated. He suffered to the day he died. As for Smith and Carlos, their actions on the global stage came with great personal cost. Within hours, the International Olympic Committee condemned their protest.
In the long term, the legacy of Smith and Carlos's Black Power salute became much more than a moment in history. It became a symbol of black defiance against racial injustice. The image of their raised fists spread far beyond the Olympic podium, inspiring countless others who were fighting for equality and justice. Their protests empowered African Americans and fueled the spirits of those who were still facing racial discrimination. Decades later, their act of defiance would be shown in movements like Black Lives Matter, a modern-day response to racial inequality that carries forward the same struggle for justice. The simple yet powerful gesture Smith and Carlos made that day was not just about a protest against the injustice they faced. It was about standing up for future generations.
Fast forward to today, and we see that while segregation may no longer be legal, the fight for equality is still far from over. African-American athletes like LeBron James, Serena Williams, Michael Jordan, and Colin Kaepernick continue to use their platforms to speak out against racial injustice. LeBron James, for example, has not only been one of the greatest basketball players of all time, but he has also been a vocal advocate for social change, using his voice and influence to push for racial equality and better opportunities for black communities. Similarly, Colin Kaepernick's decision to kneel during the national anthem in protest of police brutality sparked a widespread discussion about race, inspiring athletes across all sports to stand for justice. These modern-day athletes, much like Smith and Carlos, understand the power of their platforms and continue to carry the torch for equality.
While we no longer witness the same kind of institutional segregation that plagued the lives of Smith and Carlos, their protests paved the way for a new generation of athletes who recognize that their work on the field, court, or track is about more than just sports. It's about using their platforms. It's about using those platforms and presenting solidarity, reliability, accountability, and of course, responsibility. It is crucial for these athletes to utilize these aspects to further amplify the voices of those who still struggle for equality and justice.
This topic is crucial to history because it highlights how sports, a topic often seen as separate from politics, can serve as a platform for social change. The actions of Smith and Carlos, along with the ongoing activism of the athletes today, show how individuals can challenge struggles and inspire global movements. Their protest at the 1968 Mexico City Olympics was not just about winning medals. It was about making a stand for equality and using their moment in history to bring attention to the fight for civil rights. Understanding this connection between sports and social justice is key to recognizing how history is shaped, not only by legislation, but by the courageous acts of individuals who dare to challenge in certain situations.
The legacy of the Black Power salute serves as a reminder that the fight for equality is ongoing, and athletes continue to play an essential role in that struggle. The Black Power salute remains a powerful symbol of resistance, and its legacy continues to inspire generations of athletes and activists. While the fight for racial equality is far from over, the courage and conviction of those willing to speak out and make change will always be a powerful force in shaping history.
It was black dignity, and I'm proud I've done it, and don't tell them what I'll do if I get up there next time.